Hello everyone, my name is MJ Vilches and welcome to part 3 of creating a keyframe droid in Blender. So yeah, I already explained what the keyframe droid is on the previous part, so I'm not going to be spending some time doing that in this part. Instead, we are going to go straight to what we're planning to do here for part 3, which is also the last part of creating a keyframe droid. The next ones would be the extreme robot, extreme droid. And yeah, I'm going to talk about that once I work on it. But right now, what I'm planning to do for this part actually is to find a way how to do the fire in the bottom here for the rockets. And also we're going to be rigging our keyframe droid, making it ready for animation for the next doodle log. And also to make some nice renders or arts for Journey to Awesomeness. Because it's May 4. It's May the 4th be with you, and I'm aiming to make a post about this just to get into that Star Wars. But anyways, let's just do this. So what I have in mind for the fire actually is not too complicated. I'm actually just going to add a sphere, and kind of like what I did for the 3D artwork that I did recently, which is a son of the sun. Yeah, I'm probably gonna end up doing something like that. And to create the fire, actually, I'm going to use a different mesh for it. So I'm just going to move our K-Droid on a different collection, one that would be dedicated for K-Droid. So I'm just gonna name the collection K-Droid, and our K-Droid mesh is already in there. I'm also gonna put there the fire mesh. So yeah, I'm gonna Shift S cursor to world origin just to put our 3D cursor there, and then I'm going to add a sphere, because this is going to be our fire. I'm actually just going to do that. I'm probably gonna hide. Let me just put MJ proxy on a different collection here, because we don't need him anymore. And then I'm going to enable those, and I'm gonna uncheck that collection so we don't see it. It's not gonna be included in the render, and it's not gonna be in here in our viewport. Also, the sphere, I'm going to put that in K-Droid, which we'll name fire, I guess, or K-Droid fire. And then I'm going to tab into edit mode and then scale it down some. So before doing anything else, that's probably too many vertices there, so I'm just gonna remove this. Actually, I'm in edit mode, and I'm gonna add another UV sphere. I'm gonna set the segments to 12, and then the rings to 8, and that's all I need for our fire here. And then the next thing I'm gonna do to make it look like a fire is I'm gonna enable proportional editing, and then go to sharp, and then I'm gonna bring that down. Let's make our proportional influence bigger and make a fire going down like that, and that should be it. That's our fire. So I'm just gonna add shade smooth on that. So this is our fire. So so for the fire, first I'm gonna work on this. I'm not gonna scale it down for a while because it's fine that it covers a K-Droid there just for a while as we put on some fire shading on this thing. So to shade this, actually what I want to do is I'm gonna try and figure out how to unwrap this properly so that the fire would look nice. See, I guess for the fire I'm going to get rid of this vertex right here at the bottom. Just bring that down some, and then I'm gonna try unwrapping it like this. Let's go to UV editing and see how this will look. I'm gonna go turn on overlays for that. Project from view. I'm gonna try project from view first, and I'm gonna select this. I'm just gonna try to manually edit this until we get what I'm aiming for, because I'm gonna do this like how I did the K-Droid's eyes. So I need this. I wanna find out where that is so that I can scale it up like that. So I'm just gonna do this manually because we're not really dealing with too many edge loops here anyway. So I'm just gonna slowly scale each of those inwards like that, and then we have our circle here. So I'm gonna try minimizing the stretch for this. UV, minimize stretch, and I guess that would have an interesting effect. And keep that. And now we're going to go to shading, and we are going to add some nice fire shader for our fire here. So I'm probably going to have to bring this down some, proportional editing. Bring this down. And then I'm gonna add a new material. Call it K-Droid. K-Droid dash fire. Matching our mesh name. So yeah, I'm just gonna add, wait, I'm gonna press home. Because we have our initial shader here. I'm just gonna get rid of principal BSDF. Give it an emission shader. Actually, emission. I'm going to need mix shader. Actually, mix shader. Which emission right there, and puts mix right there. I'm also gonna get transparent BSDF and put it right there. Probably do this. And so I'm going to get color ramp. Just put it there. I'm gonna go get the texture gradient texture. I'll put it right there. I'm gonna set that to spherical, and I'm gonna view this upwards and get the texture coordinate and also mapping. It's in vector mapping. Set that to UV. Connect the vector there and right there. And then like this, and then color. And I'm probably gonna also use this. No, not for that, for the factor. I'm just gonna set up properly our vector here. I'm going to need to move this -0.5. Okay, let's try this again. I'm gonna use this as a reference. I'm gonna unwrap project from view bounds, and I'm gonna get the K-Droid fire, just so we see what we have here. Okay, so -0.5 where it did the job. Should give us the desired effect like that. So I don't need this anymore. So yeah, I'm just gonna set up our color ramp here to set the color and also the alpha of our mesh. Gonna add a new one right in the middle. Make this orange or yellow. Make this yellow, and the inner one is orange or red. And then make this go there. I'm gonna add a new one probably right here. Make this red. I'm gonna set the strength to about 10. And just make that smaller there. And I'm gonna try ease. And then I'm going to use, I think it was a noise texture. And then I'm going to mix RGB this together probably. It's probably multiply clamp. I'm just gonna use this to bring back our colors there. That, make this shorter again. Bring back our fire there. Make it smaller. More like that. Is that the right color? And I'm gonna play around with the settings of the noise texture to make it look nice. The 0.1 is probably enough. And then I think we're good with that. I think that's a nice fire already. I'm not sure if I want to add subdivision surface for this, but I think it would be nice to add that. So now our fire can like move around like this. I actually need to set our noise texture also to the UV here. I'm gonna try UV editing this. I'm gonna edit it. I'm gonna turn off that. Make these guys smaller around here. Or probably bigger. And then I'm just gonna scale it inwards. So I guess that looks nice. I'm gonna try placing it below our K-Droid to see if it looks nice. It's going to be inside the rockets there. Make it bigger. I'm gonna put it upwards, right in there, and turn on alpha blend. And as you can see, that looks nice. I'm gonna Shift Z to scale it. And if the rocket turns, this turns as well. So what I'm gonna do, just gonna Shift S, goes to origin, and I'm just gonna duplicate this. Actually, I'm gonna set the pivot point to 3D cursor. Shift D, RZ90. Select everything. Shift D, RZ180, and all is filled up. I'm also gonna make sure that I did not duplicate twice. So I'm gonna Control V, merge vertices, and by distance. Also, one thing I want to change actually is probably make this top part all orange, because that black spot, I'm looking at it now and I'm not liking it anymore. So I'm gonna make all of the top right there, all that part. Go back to material. I'm gonna make that orange. So yeah, let's just have a little time travel here, because I did some animations on the Keyframe Droid, on a K-Droid, and I discovered some stuff, and I want to share it here. So instead of our UV looking like this, cursor's supposed to be like in the center here, because this is the center of our gradient texture. So Shift S, selection, cursor to pixels, so that our cursor is right on that edge there. What I'm gonna do is select all of our UV here, Shift S, selection to cursor, offset, and put our UV right here. And the purpose of that is this. I'm going to shading, and I can just set our x-axis to 0, can put that back to 0 and 0, and that would set our rocket right there. And it's best to do it like this because I'd want to be able to rotate our fire there using the rotation settings here, which I can then manipulate to like simulate like a fire movement there, like give the illusion, not simulate, but give the illusion that our fire is moving. So I can just like put I'm gonna put a value node here on a texture so that we can like manipulate our fire, and then I can then animate this to like add a noise modifier to make the fire like in a rocket. So yeah. Also, one thing that I changed for our fire here is that I changed it to a blue fire, because blue fire is looks actually nicer. For actually, blue fire is supposed to be what's the right color. I mean, like the right fire for the rocket. Plus, it also complements the orange color of our Keyframe Droid, and we have our rocket right there. I'm probably gonna make the fire like very small, just like what you saw on the intro animation. And also, I'm going to set this to alpha. Yeah, alpha blend, because it's way better. And also, I added a wave modifier. Just follow the settings here if you want to get the settings of the fire like moving like that. You can like bump up the speed to make it faster. Probably about 0.15 will do for the speed of the fire there. Plus, you add the rotation, and we have a rocket fire going on right there. So yeah, that's all that the changes that I did for the fire. Next is I gave K-Droid a rig. So yeah, now that we have our Keyframe Droid, let's give it a rig. So I'm just gonna go back to our solid view here, and then let's add some armature, some bones. So the first bone I'm going to add is the one that will control all of it, the main bone. So I'm just gonna go, and the little rascal singing again. Yeah, she loves singing. Anyways, we're gonna wait till she's done. Okay, I think she's done. Okay, let's give it a rig. I'm gonna start with the one in the middle, right about here, selected. I'm probably gonna. Okay, there's going to be one main bone that will control everything, which I will put right at the bottom there, just so I have a bone that would like, that would still be in the ground. So yeah, I'm going to start with that, with the bone that will control the body, and then next will be the bone for everything. So I'm gonna start with this, I guess. I'm gonna Shift S, cursor to selected, it's already there. I'm gonna add a bone there. I'm gonna Shift A, armature, a single bone. So I'm gonna turn on. I'm gonna go to viewport display and turn on axes, and also in front, so we can see it even when it's right through the mesh. So I'm gonna tab into edit mode, and I'm gonna make sure that our bone here matches the world. To do that, I'm just gonna R90, and that should match the Z-axis. Like the Z-axis of the world is this. This is the Z-axis. This is the X-axis, and that's the Y-axis. And I want that to match. I want this one to match the world. Just gonna scale it down right here. And I'm gonna Shift S, cursor to world origin. I'm gonna Shift D, I'm gonna Shift S, selection to cursor. I'm gonna G that, I'm gonna Shift S, selection to cursor. Selected the nodule here. Nodules, these are actually called nodules. So I'm gonna just put the nodule of the main bone here, right in the middle, because that will be the middle. That's gonna be the pivot point of this bone. So I'm gonna parent this bone to this one, Control P, keep offset, not connected. I'm gonna rename this bone F2, and rename it this K-Droid, or maybe just main F2. Gonna name this body. And another thing I need to do, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna tab into object mode, tab into edit mode in this droid, and I'm gonna get that middle part of the, probably this part right here. I'm gonna turn off X-ray, this part. And Shift S cursor to selected, put the cursor right in the middle there. So I'm gonna try this if it behaves the way I want it. So I'm gonna set this. I've set the pivot point to 3D cursor so that when I rotate, it rotates right on that 3D cursor there. Just to check if it's that part is where I should put the pivot point or the bone that would control this. And I don't think that would be a great part to put that pivot point. I'm gonna try this one instead. Shift S cursor selected, Control L. I'm gonna try rotating here. So this laser is actually has limited like oscillation. I'm gonna Control Z that, make sure the rotation is reset, and I think I'm gonna put the next bone right there, the bone that will control all of the laser gun right there. So I'm gonna go tab into edit mode in our bone, I'm gonna Shift A to add a new bone, and then I'm gonna R90 negative. So the 3D cursor is still the pivot point. That's why I'm able to rotate it properly like that. I'm just gonna do this, and that should do it. This will be our laser, F2. Just gonna name that laser. Now for the rockets. So for the rockets, it would be pretty easy. I'm just gonna Control tab back to object mode. Tab here. I'm gonna select the middle vertex right there because it's selected. Probably not there. Maybe here. Here is the pivot point of our rockets right there. So that when I Control L, so that when it rotates nicely there without clipping on any sides there. So yeah, I guess it's nice. So I'm gonna add the bone right there. I'm gonna tab into edit mode again on our bones here. Shift A, and then R Z. No, I'm just gonna R 180 to make our bones pointing downwards like that. So we have our first bone of the fire here, and then to duplicate it, I can just put the cursor to the world origin and do the same thing the way I duplicated this guys as well. So I'm just gonna Shift D, RZ90. I'm gonna Shift D again, RZ180. That should put it there perfectly, and that should be it. These are the main bones. These bones are going. Really Control Z that. These are the bones that will like deform our mesh, the one that would influence it. And I'm gonna use controller bones that will like make it easier to control each of the bones here, so that I don't have to like change them one by one during animation. So we're gonna do that later. First, I'm going to rename this fire underscore front, fire underscore back. I'm just gonna name this fire.L and fire.R. So we have our laser, body, the fires, or the rocket, but I'm just gonna call it fire. Or maybe, yeah, let's call it rockets, just to be more accurate. I don't know. And this one, rocket. So now we have our deform bones. I'm gonna make sure that these bones are parented to our body bone here. Keep offset, and this one as well, parented to the body bone. Keep offset. So if you go to post mode, all of those are controlled by the body, and all of this will control everything else. So we're also going to be adding custom shapes for this later. But for now, I want to set up the control bones for this fire bones, because I want to be able to animate them easily. So to do that, I'm just actually going to Shift D this guy right here. Shift D that. I'm going to make it smaller right here. Bring it up right there. And then I'm going to extrude the nodules here to create these controller bones that I will then parent to this bone. Control P, keep offset, and that should disconnect them. So I'm gonna call this F2 rocket control, rocket underscore control, and this is going to be rocket underscore front control. I'm just gonna Control C this part, Control C, rename this one. I'm gonna paste the underscore control right there, rocket underscore control dot L. Do this as well. Oops, looks like a, oh well, Control V dot L, and then the last one. And what those bones will do actually is, first I'm going to do this as, and select this guys, actually this first. I'm gonna go tab into edit mode, Shift S cursor to selected. I'm gonna do this, select those. I'm gonna Shift S selection to cursor, keep offset so that they're perfectly straight with this guy right here. And what this will do is like make it easier to animate those rockets. So it's actually easy to set up the modifiers, the bone modifiers that we'll be needing here, bone constraints. I'm just going to add Shift S. I'm gonna first try inverse kinematics and set the chain length of this. Let's go to the bone constraint properties, chain length to 1, so that this controls that. Do the same thing here, Shift S, inverse kinematics, change the chain length to 1, Control Shift C, inverse kinematics, chain length to 1. Last one, Control Shift C, inverse kinematics 1. And that should control our rockets easily, so that I don't have to like move them one by one. Let's say we're going to animate a K-Droid doing that way. I don't have to like move them one by one. I can just, you know, do that and then move it anywhere I want. If I want to go straight outwards, I can scale this so that all of the rockets are like pointing outwards when a K-Droid is hovering. So yeah, that's the point of this. We have our rocket controls, and that's about the only like bone constraints that we're gonna do for our K-Droid here. So I'm satisfied with that. I'm gonna make sure that this bone is parented to this one, the main bone. Control P, keep offset. Or maybe this needs to be parented to our body here, so that it follows, but they can then like, if it goes there, I can animate this to go that way. Alt S, Alt G that all in the post mode. Take note that I'm making some tests in the post mode, not in the edit mode, because if you do that in the edit mode, you're gonna end up screwing yourself, because that's gonna be difficult to Alt R and Alt G won't work here. Control Z will. So if you made a mistake moving any bones, make sure to Control Z before the undo data is overwritten, because then you're gonna have to end up doing everything over again. So yeah, now that we have our bones here, next we're gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that these bones, the bones that I don't want to deform our mesh, have the deform right here in the bone properties unchecked. So I'm gonna uncheck this so that when I do some automatic weights, they're not gonna be included, and that they won't deform our mesh, which is what I want. So the others will have deform, all of this. Well, these guys at the bottom won't have any influence on our mesh, direct influence, only bone controllers. So yeah, now that we've made sure that those don't have deform, we can now parent our mesh to the bones. So I'm just gonna select the mesh first, and then the bone. Control P. I'm gonna try with automatic weights for this, and let's see what we got. I'm also gonna do the same thing for the fire. Select that, select the bone. Control P with automatic weights. I'm gonna look at our mesh here. I'm gonna check vertex groups, the object data properties, and as you can see, all of the right bones are in the vertex groups now. I'm also gonna Control Tab to weight paint and see. No, actually, object mode that I'm gonna Control Tab this to pull. I mean, actually keep that object mode. Select that rig first, and then the mesh. Actually, we have to rename the rig to K-Droid rig, I guess. I'm gonna select the rig and the mesh and Control Tab to weight paint, and that would automatically make the bones put the bones to post mode, so we can check if the bones are properly influencing the right bones. So I think it is. I'm gonna make sure that this eye bone is not influencing the body or the laser bone. So I'm gonna to do that. It's actually pretty simple. I'm just gonna select the bone and tab and select all of the body here. Actually select all of the eye, then Control I to select the opposite, and I'm gonna remove that. That will remove the influence of the laser bone to everything except the laser gun part. I'm also gonna do the same thing with this bone right here. I'm gonna tab that and make sure I select this. I'm gonna assign that, and then I'm gonna Control I and remove so that the body bone doesn't influence other parts of the K-Droid here. So for the rockets, things are actually looking nice. I don't have to edit it. Clearly the rockets is not influencing the K-Droid body, but let's see. Let's try changing. Let's try posting it around. And as you can see, yes, it doesn't influence the body in there. You can see that there's no movement in our K-Droid body. So that's looking nice. Our weight paint works well for that, and also it worked well for our fire. Let's see if I'm gonna go check the fire actually. Select the bone first and the fire, control tab, weight paint. I'm gonna check if it's influencing properly. I don't think the body's influencing our fire anywhere, so I think the fire is also good. Yeah, I'm just gonna check, make sure that our pivot point is back to median point. Bones are in proper orientation. So just checking things here. Make sure that everything is nice and rigged. So I'm gonna move the entire K-Droid, control bones, scale it too. And yeah, look at that. At this point, our K-Droid is also nice and rigged and ready for animation. But for animation, I want this bones to like not be looking like this. I really like seeing custom shapes while doing that. So what I'm gonna do actually is I'm going to hide this, because we're not gonna be applying custom shapes on this, guys. Hide that, put that on the last layer here, and we're not gonna be doing anything with that. The only ones that will have custom shapes are the bones here, the laser gun bone, the body bone, and the bone controllers. So I'm gonna keep these guys here so that I can still individually like animate the rockets if I want to. So I'm also gonna add a nice custom shape for those so that they don't obstruct each other's views. So the first custom shape that I'm gonna add is for the main bone. So I'm just gonna Shift S, cursor selected, put it right there, and Control Tab back to object mode, and I'm gonna add a new collection, probably put it inside a K-Droid, and then I'm gonna just call it custom shapes. So I want to put all the custom shapes in one collection so that I can easily hide them later. So with the custom shape selected, let's add a circle. I'm gonna go mesh, circle. And I'm gonna check what the orientation is, what are the axes. So I'm gonna go to this, the object properties, I think. Yep. And viewport display, axis. And in making custom shape, you have to make sure that the axis of the bone is the same with the axis of the custom shape. And as you can see, the axis of our main bone here, pointing, the Z is pointing up, X right there, Y right there. It's identical to our object bone here, to our custom shape. So I'm not going to be doing anything except trying to reshape, trying to model something nice here. But actually for this, I think this is looking nice already. I don't think I need to edit any more with this. Probably just gonna do this. Let's Shift D this one, scale it, and then bring this back to Y, so that we just have like an indicator that this is pointing towards the front. So yeah, that's just a simple custom shape right there. I'm gonna rename that CS underscore main. I'm gonna go here, tab to post mode. I'm gonna select the main bone, go to the object of the bone properties. I'm gonna go to the viewport display and select, I'm gonna check wireframe, and I'm gonna look for the custom object, which is CS main. And then I'm gonna uncheck bone size so that it follows the size of our of the object. So yeah, now our main bone has a custom shape and it's looking nice. Next would be the body. For the body, I'm probably gonna use just a plane. So I'm gonna Shift S, cursor selected, Control Tab, selecting custom shape collection. I'm actually gonna move the K-Droid rig on the K-Droid collection. There we go. And then I'm going to add a plane right there. Probably make this that thick. And an X, and then delete face, only faces. Delete only the face so that our edges and the vertex are what's left. And that's pretty much good, I think, already. I don't want the custom shapes to be overly stylized, so that they're just there to help me like animate this without too much obstruction on the view. So yeah, I think that's great for the body. CS underscore body. Let's just check just to make sure. I'm gonna display axis, and yeah, it matches. The axis matches with our main bone there, so don't have to make any changes. So I guess I'm just gonna tab to post mode, control tab to post mode on our bone there. Bone properties, under viewport display again, wireframe, CS body, and then uncheck bone size. And there we go. We have our bone for the body. That's nice. Now for the laser, which is going to be a circle. So I'm just gonna put the cursor there. We're using the Shift S, cursor selected. So yeah, we have our cursor right there on our laser gun bone. Then I'm gonna tab back to object mode, make sure custom shapes selected, and then I'm gonna just keep adding custom shapes for this, guys. So I guess I'm just gonna do a time lapse for this one. So yeah, I used one custom shape for the solo fire controllers here, because I don't really need to make other objects as reference for it. Just, you know, because they all have the same orientation anyways. So by choosing just one of these objects as the same custom shape won't really be a big issue. So yeah, that's why I used just one custom shape for that. And yeah, the last custom shape that needs to be added is just this guy right here, which is also going to be a circle actually. It's just going to be an easy one. You're gonna Shift A, make sure the custom shape is selected, Shift A, circle. And since it's on the, like, it's got the same axis or orientation as the world, I don't really need to edit the orientation of our bone, of the one that we added here, because it's already nice. So I want this actually. I might have to do some editing here. So I'm gonna F2 this CS. Make sure that this is a fire control. Just naming it fire control. I'm gonna put that on this guy. Warframe fire control. Uncheck bone size. I want this to align with this guy's right here. So in order to do that, that would be really easy. I'm just gonna go back to the fire solo object that we have, and tab to edit mode. This is to edit like a custom shape. If you don't like how it's looking, you can edit it by editing the object that you used for the custom shape, and just editing it using edit mode, and that would help you edit the custom shape if you want to change it. I'm gonna set the 3D cursor as the pivot point. I'm gonna SZ0 just to align that with our body there. And I'm also gonna edit, the fire control. I'm also gonna edit the fire control bone. Just to scale it right there. Make sure that that's aligned to the circles, so that we have that kind of shape right there. So now if I disable custom shapes here and just use a rig, also disable the axes, the display of the axis for the bones. And now this is our K-Droid, fully rigged, and at this point, ready for animation. Look at that. Move the body. It's flying towards. It's like moving. It's like dodging. Then we're gonna move the fire control to like use the follow through action there. It's probably gonna be bended a bit. Let's put that back to median. It's probably gonna be like that. So yeah, made this quick animation. You actually saw that animation on the intro, but yeah, it's looking great. This is gonna be in action in Doodle Log 005, and it's really excited. It's gonna be awesome. And yeah, that's all for this series. And I do hope that you got something from this, despite the fact that this is not a tutorial video, just a workflow video. But yeah, we managed to create this animation asset from modeling to shading to giving it a rig. getting it ready for animation. So yeah, you will be seeing this guy in action in Doodlelog 005. So yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. My name is MJ Vilches, and yeah, gotta get to work on a shot on episode 1 actually before moving on to a different droid.